How do we better understand what we read? We ask and answer questions. Follow along as I read this aloud. What's for breakfast? Breakfast around the world. People across the United States and around the world eat many different things for breakfast. Have you ever wondered what your neighbor, teacher, or best friend had for breakfast this morning? Your parents or relatives might have told you, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Breakfast is essential to giving our body the nourishment it needs to start the day. A traditional American breakfast can include eggs, toast, juice or coffee, bacon, cereal, and fruit. Popular breakfast fruit include banana, melons, and grapefruit. Of course, you don't have to eat everything I listed above. Lots of people choose their favorites and mix and match items throughout the week. Now we're going to talk about that paragraph and what it means. What is this paragraph mostly about? It is mostly about what people in the USA, Mexico, and Japan have for breakfast. Which sentence shows what this paragraph is mostly about? People across the United States and around the world eat many different things for breakfast. Have you ever wondered what your neighbor, teacher, or best friend had for breakfast this morning? Your parents and relatives might have told you. Or breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Which of these three sentences tells what that paragraph is mostly about? If you guess number one, people across the United States and around the world eat many different things for breakfast, you were right. Would breakfast is essential to giving your body the nourishment it needs to start the day also work? I'm going to think out loud. This is a good question because we are always told that breakfast is essential, and this paragraph did talk about breakfast being essential. But I'm not sure if that's what the whole paragraph talked about. Let me think about that. No, the article is mostly about people eating different things for breakfast around the world, not why it is important. Follow along as I read this part aloud. If you were to eat breakfast in Mexico, you'd most likely have corn tortillas with beans, rice, green or red peppers, and eggs. The tortilla is used to wrap all the ingredients together. A popular breakfast dish is called chilaquiles. It consists of tortilla chips topped with red and green salsa with cheese, onions, and an egg served on the side. I'm going to think out loud again. After I read this part, I asked, what do they eat for breakfast in Mexico? And I connected that they also eat eggs like Americans, and I'm thinking their tortillas are kind of like our toast. Read this section to yourself as I read it aloud. Breakfast in Japan is traditionally a savory meal. Instead of one larger dish, there are many small plates. White rice is normally the focus of the meal, and smaller side dishes include fried fish, pickled vegetables, miso soup, and tofu. Green tea accompanies a traditional Japanese breakfast. Although now it is not uncommon to see many younger people in Japan consuming a more American-style breakfast of eggs, toast, orange juice, and cereal. I'm going to think out loud again. I think, are the breakfasts in Japanese culture in Japan similar or different than what we eat in America? I notice as I'm reading this, I am not familiar with pickled vegetables or miso soup. And certainly green tea is something that some Americans eat and drink. But I think most of the traditional Japanese breakfast is just really different than ours. What is a topic sentence or main idea? A topic sentence is the sentence that guides us and tells us what the selection will be about. Why is it important to ask questions while we read? It is important to ask questions while we read so we can understand and remember what the selection was about. And that is how we better understand what we read.